OG Anunoby both showed a lot of upside last year. Both showed like they could be very good starters in the NBA. Again, they don't have much superstar potential, which is good in this situation because of the fact that, as we're about to get into it, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, these guys are going to bring you back guys with superstar potential. So now you need guys who will just come in and play 25 to 30 minutes for you and give you those solid minutes without commanding too much of the spotlight. And that's what these two players seem to be, at least right now. So that's the main reason why I like this trade for the Golden State Warriors. You're getting a couple of young guys, both extremely versatile players. So now you're gaining that as well, which is important in today's NBA and important in a team that's going to probably have a lot of depth. And those are the two main reasons why I like this trade for Golden State.
Okay.
So now my suggestion for a Draymond Green trade is Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, and Damian Jones for a Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, and Nene. Now, with Clint Capella here, you're essentially, if you're the Houston Rockets, you're gaining Draymond Green, probably the best defensive player in the league. And the main thing here to realize is that the Rockets are not only are they in win now mode and win championship now mode, they are pretty desperate. And I'm not saying that Draymond Green is a desperation move. Draymond Green is one of the best players in the league and the best defensive player in the league. However, you are getting rid of a guy that's 4 years younger, and that's what I meant with that. But Draymond Green for right now is better than Clint Capella, and you are gaining that player who will most likely put you over that hump, and now you should really be probably the favorite to win the NBA title for a year or two. And that's the main reason that the Rockets make this move. You are giving up Eric Gordon, who really did play well for them in the regular season, did not show up as much in the playoffs as they probably had hoped, but really played well for them in the regular season and really fit their mold of play. However, in return for him, you're getting Andre Iguodala, who is a very, very good defensive wing that barely shoots the three at this point anymore. Really only good for 20 to 25 minutes, but that veteran presence that he provides you with is extremely strong. And you're getting someone with a lot of playoff experience and someone who could lock down on some of the best wings in the NBA. Nene and Damian Jones are basically salary fillers. Rockets were taking on $5 million in this deal. I wanted to even it out a little more, especially due to the fact that they are pretty deep in the luxury tax. By adding in Nene and Damian Jones, you're taking off essentially $2 million off that. So now the Rockets are only taking on $3 million instead of $5 million. But what the Warriors received in this trade is a defensive center who doesn't stretch the floor much, but shoots around the basket at a very high percentages, finishes really well. Really what is necessary for a team that's going to get a couple superstars, as we're going to talk about in a second. Really a center who will be there to clean up the mess that some of those players make. And Eric Gordon, obviously one of the best bench players in the league, which, again, similarly is something that this team will need once we touch on the rest of the roster in a few minutes. So we will go into that in a couple of seconds. So to recap, Sebastian had Draymond Green and Sean Livingston going for Jonas Valanciunas, OG Anunoby, Malachi Richardson, and Pascal Siakam. And I had Draymond Green going to the Rockets alongside Andre Iguodala and Damian Jones for Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, and Nene.
I will just quickly say what my thoughts are with this trade. I think the one thing I don't know about, especially since you are in win now kind of mode with some of the players, trading Draymond Green to the Houston Rockets may be a little bit risky just because it might put them over the top, especially if you're giving out Iguodala as well. For the next 2 years, you're setting them up as a team that can really compete and really give you at least a hard time because of their defensive. One of the criticisms this year of Rockets has been that they have lost some of their better defensive players and they're not going to be as good defensively. And I tend to agree to that. If you give them Draymond Green and Iguodala, it's going to kind of improve their chances. Obviously, Clint Capella is a great defender, but he wasn't especially a good defender against Golden State just because, they are able. A traditional 5 defender isn't always as successful against Golden State because they don't have a traditional big in the lineup. But you are changing Golden State here, so maybe it won't be making that much of a difference.
Yeah, and I will touch more on your point once we go over the rest of the roster. I'll explain that the reasoning behind this once we're done with all this and once we are reviewing our depth charts.
All right, so here's my trade for Stephen Curry. I have Curry being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. And I have Golden State picking up a few players here. Luol Deng, who's obviously the contract filler here that we have to make this work. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram. And then I have Josh Hart written down. I was kind of trying to discuss, should I include Josh Hart? Should I include Kyle Kuzma? Should none of them be in there? And my thought process was, if I'm Golden State Warriors and I'm trading away Stephen Curry, who's an amazing player, I'm going to need one of those players. I personally prefer Josh Hart over Kyle Kuzma, which some people disagree with that, and that's fine. But I like that player because of his defensive ability compared to Kuzma's. So I would, I decided to just go along and take Josh Hart because if I am, like I said, if I'm Golden State, I'm not making this trade without Josh Hart. Brendan Ingram and Lonzo Ball are obviously the two more talented players that we're probably going to be that my team's going to be receiving. Lonzo Ball is this up-and-coming point guard. Brendan Ingram has shown flashes of being a go-to scorer. So in this case, I believe, both teams make this trade. This is probably the most talent I could see Golden State getting from anyone for Stephen Curry. If I'm LA, teaming up Stephen Curry and LeBron James, in my opinion, would be ideal. I know it creates a lot of salary cap problems because both of them are making $37-35 million. But it fits the timeline of LeBron James. LeBron James is 35 years old. I know people talk about how Lakers are so set up for the future, but he's 35 years old. And I know he's in great shape, and I know he's been, playing fantastic basketball. But how long can he continue this for? I feel like there's at most a 3 or 4, elite LeBron window, and that might be a little bit too much. Maybe it's also 2 or 3. Not saying that LeBron's not going to be a great player in 5 years. He still could be. I see that potential, but he's not going to be the most dominant player in the NBA, one of the best scorers. So I feel like adding Stephen Curry here kind of fits the timeline, gives them the chance to win in the next 2 to 3 years. And so if I'm LA, I don't see why I do this deal. The one thing I will add to this, you could also think about adding a Steve Kerr and Luke Walton swap in this deal, just because Steve Kerr would be going to a team that's more ready to win now. Luke Walton's going to a team that is going to be younger.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting, actually. That's a fun thing to take into consideration. But yeah, I think this is an absolute no-brainer for the Lakers. You're getting rid of Luol Deng's contract. You're giving up 3 very good young prospects. And, it's probably good players at this point, too. But doesn't matter. You're getting Stephen Curry and LeBron James on the same team. That would be absolutely filthy. That'd be so much fun to watch. Not to mention the fact that, yes, both guys probably are making around $74-75 million combined next season going into free agency. However, you just got rid of your 3 biggest contracts outside of LeBron James for the 2018-19 season and Deng, Ball, and Ingram. So now you would have about $25 million to spend on a free agent, and there are people like DeAndre Jordan available who would fit this roster ideally. He'd be there right to clean up any mess if the small amount of shots that Curry misses, bam, there's a DeAndre Jordan, or other potential players too to fill that roster. And I'm sure a lot of veterans and even probably 28, 29-year-olds would take pay cuts to come play on this team. So this would be an absolute no-brainer for the Lakers. Same for Golden State. If you have to give up Stephen Curry, you're not going to get better talent in return. Philadelphia is not going to trade Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, so you could take that off anyone's mind. Those 2 players are in Philadelphia. However, Ball and Ingram are a lot more expendable for the Lakers. So getting a Curry in return for those 2 players, getting those 2 players in return for Curry would be ideal. Add in a Josh Hart, that's perfect. Now, Luol Deng's contract is pretty bad. However, what you have to take into consideration is that he's got 2 years left on his contract. Ingram's is on his rookie scale contract for 2 more years. Lonzo Ball for 3 more years. Josh Hart for 3 more years. That's not going to matter because by the time those players are due for extensions, same with Saric, same with Fultz, by the time those guys are due for extensions, Deng's and Valanciunas contracts are all off the books. Now you're not worrying about that because of the fact that none of those contracts are going to coincide with one another. It's really same thing with OG Anunoby, and I'm not sure, is Siakam a second-year player or a third-year player now?
I think he's been like 2 years. I mean, he's going into his third year.
He's going in his third year. That's perfect. So he's got 2 more years on his rookie scale contract as well. So far, all that's working out perfectly for this rebuild Golden State Warriors roster. So that's perfect. And even if one of them is a third-year player going into his fourth year now, who cares? You got those 2 players who are worth about $30 million. You re-sign that free agent for whatever amount. You're still pretty much under the salary cap and definitely under the luxury tax. So that works out perfectly for this rebuild roster. Now, for my Stephen Curry trade here, I'm sending Stephen Curry to the Celtics here. Now, it involves Stephen Curry, Patrick McCaw, and Jonas Jerebko going to the Celtics for Kyrie Irving, Marcus Smart, and Marcus Morris. Now, everyone on this, essentially, this is a way to get this Warriors team younger and still keep them competitive. Now, touching on this real quick, Marcus Morris and Jonas Jerebko are involved in this trade just because Marcus Morris makes about $4 million more than Jonas Jerebko does. Both players are free agents next year. However, Stephen Curry's contract is so high that I added these 2 players in to lessen the load of the amount of money the Celtics are taking in. Now, Kyrie Irving for Stephen Curry. Now, Curry is 4 years older. However, Curry is signed for 5 more years, and those 5 years should be very good years. Even though Stephen Curry at 35 should be a very good player, just because he relies on his shooting ability so much, and that does not tend to decline as much as athleticism does. Kyrie Irving has 1 more year left on his contract. He's battled some injuries in the past, which lessens his trade value a little bit. But the main thing is he's got 1 year left on his contract. The Celtics are unsure whether he will resign. Now, I believe Kyrie Irving will be with the Celtics for the next 5 to 10 years. However, the uncertainty is there. Marcus Smart's involvement, again, just because of the fact that Curry is a better player. Curry is a better player than Kyrie Irving. You got to add in Marcus Smart, not only for that, but also for the fact that he's worth about $13 million, which really does make this trade work. And as much as his defensive prowess is fantastic for the Celtics, having a Rozier there makes him a little more expendable, especially if you're getting a Stephen Curry in return. I don't think there's anything here. I don't think the Celtics would really consider Marcus Smart's involvement in this deal a deal breaker. And you are getting Patrick McCaw, who does have some potential to become a good player. Definitely not an all-star, but somewhat of a good player, a rotational player, which really would make this trade work well for both teams. Now, again, with the Celtics, you're getting Stephen Curry, the best shooter the league's ever seen, and probably the best point guard in the league right now. How do you feel about this trade?
Yeah, obviously, I think why the Celtics would do this deal is because it takes Stephen Curry away from the Golden State Warriors, who are going to be, your biggest roadblock for the Celtics are going to be the Golden State Warriors. So if you could take Stephen Curry away from them and add him to your team, you do it. Stephen Curry has obviously shown us for the past 4 years that he can, be a clutch player, that he can perform well in the finals, that he can change games with his offense. So yeah, you do this deal. Now, I like Kyrie Irving. He's also shown us he's a clutch player. He's a good, great player and all that. But, there's uncertainty with him staying. Kyrie's sometimes a weird dude, so you just never know what's going to happen with him. So you make this deal, if you're the Warriors, you're getting back Kyrie Irving, who's 26 years old. Compared to the trade that I proposed for Stephen Curry, you're not in that trade. You're not getting anyone as nearly as talented as Kyrie Irving, or at least who hasn't gotten there yet. So you know what you're getting with Kyrie Irving. He's an awesome player, and I think it's a smart trade for both teams. You're also getting Marcus Smart, who's a really good young player. So you do it. Okay, so let's just recap those 2 trades that we just had with Stephen Curry. I had Stephen Curry being sent to the Los Angeles Lakers for Luol Deng, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart. And then Danny had Stephen Curry, Patrick McCaw, and Jonas Jerebko being sent to the Celtics for Kyrie Irving, Marcus Smart, and Marcus Morris. All right, and last but not least, we're going to trade away Kevin Durant. My idea for